Okay, we're back. Last week, a contingent of progressives from northern and southern Nevada descended on Carson City to urge lawmakers to pass a resolution to strip the mining industry's sweetheart tax deal from the state constitution. This resolution passed once in 2011, and if legislators pass it again this year, then voters will get the final say at the ballot box next year. And joining us now is Laura Martin of the Progressive Leadership Alliance of Nevada, one of the people that went up and stormed the Capitol to try to get them thinking right on this issue. Welcome to the program, Ms. Martin.
Thank you for having me.
Look, as I mentioned, this passed the legislature 2 years ago. I believe, unless I'm mistaken, every member of the Democratic caucuses in both houses voted for this thing. Democrats alone could pass this again, well, almost. Yeah, actually, they probably could. What did you hear from Democrats? Because there seems to be some grumbling out of Carson City, and even before the session, that there's some concern that maybe they shouldn't pass it a second time. What did you hear from Democrats when you were up there?
Well, it seems that since 2011, suddenly there's this legal opinion that if we do pass SGR 15, that mining would pay no taxes or they would pay less. No one could materialize that, what they're calling a legal brief or opinion. But I know we met with Senator Mo Dennis and Senator Debbie Smith, who said that SGR 15 in 2011 was rushed through, and so they didn't get the proper legal opinions. I don't necessarily remember it happening that way, but you know, we're just as anxious as they are to find these opinions so we can, you know, settle it once and for all.
Well, I'll come right out and say I don't remember it that way at all, and I was there and I sat through those hearings where Senator Horsford and Senator Sheila Leslie, I thought, did a fairly competent job, it seemed to me, of going through the items one by one, making obviously a pretty persuasive case, because it you know, it progressed from there. So what is this, just faux confusion that's being ginned up over this now that I'm suspecting? It just sounds odd to me.
It does. I feel like we, and I say we as in the progressive community plan, isn't really getting the entire story as to how they're negotiating it, what's on their minds. We feel that this should have been something that's just easy to do. Republicans voted for it in 2011 too. Those same Republicans are ready to vote for it again. We're just waiting on the Democrats to bring up the bill. And there's Democrats in the Senate and the Assembly who are saying, I've never seen a legal brief, I'll vote for it again. You know, no one has changed my mind from last session.
So you say you're waiting for Democrats to bring up the bill. The Republicans did vote for this before, including Republican Senate Leader Michael Roberson. He's Senate Leader now. We had him on the program a few weeks before the session. He said, well, I don't know, I got to think about it. Did you meet with him when you were up there last week?
I didn't meet with him personally, but I know he was one of the people who said, you know, I'll vote for it again, but I heard about this phantom legal brief that no one has seen.
But he did tell you that he would vote for it again?
As long as it doesn't lower their taxes or eliminate their taxes.
And it seems pretty clear to me, look, I'm not an attorney, but you know, Hugh and I have talked about this extensively. We've looked at all the language that's pertinent, and I've talked to, you know, some attorneys offline. It seems to me that all SJR 15 does is, as Hugh has characterized it, just, you know, takes this special tax status out of the Constitution, doesn't really change anything statutorily in terms of the state law books, and so that would just free state lawmakers up at that point, if they chose to do so, to start tinkering around with the tax structure of mining. Is that your understanding as well?
That's exactly right. And last year, in 2011, when the Legislative Council Bureau, I believe it was the chief of the Bureau, testified, that's exactly what she said, and we have no reason to believe that she wasn't being honest or she didn't do her due diligence in, you know, researching that.
I want to make a political point just really quick. I find it sort of odd that the Democrats especially are being so sort of hesitant on this, because ultimately the way it looks to me is that due to Republican opposition and the governor's threatened veto, no new mining tax would go through this session anyhow. But why not just get this piece done, you know, I guess if you're a Democrat, strategically for the future? Does this make any sense to you?
It makes sense to me, but again, I'm not an elected official. I don't depend on campaign donations. So.
Well, and one argument has always been that, you know how the Nevada legislature works. When the Supreme Court throws something in their lap, for instance, then they come back with some kind of Band-Aid fix, and maybe gaming pays a little more, or maybe sales taxes goes a little more. Yeah. If they're taken out of the Constitution, if mining is, then they can be part of that mix. Mm-hmm. Right now, they've never been able to be part of that mix, except with some prepayments that they do. Let me ask you, you said Democrats need to bring up a bill. This bill, last I saw, was assigned to the Revenue Committee that's chaired by State Senator Ruben Kihuen.
Yes.
Did you meet with him when he was up there? Is he going to be the guy that's going to champion this and put it forward, or do we not know if there is a champion up there?
We hope so. Our executive director, Bob Fulkerson, met with Ruben and about 7 of Ruben's constituents to talk about SGR 15, and he said he will bring the bill up. He didn't give us a date, but we're expecting the bill to come up in March, and we will use
Did he say he'd vote for it?
I think again, I wasn't in the room, but I do think he's on team, let's wait for the legal.
Well, hopefully we'll get
Yeah.
a commitment out of him sooner or
Yes,
later.
and we will make sure it comes very
All
soon.
right.
Okay, Ms. Martin, thank you so much for joining us. We sure appreciate it. We'll look forward to, I think, having you back maybe in March if this bill does come up.